Every morning when I come in now, I gotta make sure I get a look at it. We're here for project truck videos today though. We're here for sirens in the background. That's why we came in, just so we can catch all those wonderful Kissimmee sirens blaring past the shop 6 or 8 times a day. A lot goes on in this town, good or bad, so you gotta be prepared. But most importantly, you gotta stay tuned for a day in the shop. We're gonna spend a whole day following me around, seeing what I'm up to, what kind of ruckus I can cause, or maybe I'll be solving problems all day. We'll see. Could be either. I've been doing this for over 40 years. If you're new here, we got a lot of new subscribers this past week. I really appreciate you guys, just like I appreciate my longtime subscribers. We're growing this channel and we're approaching 20,000. We're gonna do our first live stream once that happens. So make sure to put on your earmuffs because a lot of ambulances go by during my videos. And fire trucks, police cars, whatever the case may be. I've seen chases, 2 people drag racing and 2 or 3 cop cars following them go by here. That doesn't happen too often, luckily. But I'll do my best, try to teach you something. You guys will teach me something. It's a two-way street here. We're gonna have some fun. That's the most important thing. We're gonna see if they want to fix this cartel car, because you make someone mad that's in the cartel, you never know what's gonna happen. I'll put some clips in right here. That way you'll have a really good idea what's going to happen in this video today. Don't be jealous. 2012. Before he decides, I'm going to do 2 tires really quick. Of course, we have a beautiful Florida sunrise. That's pretty common. Probably 90 out of 100 days, the sun will be shining behind me. We're going to get in there and get this thing started. We got a lot of, if anyone needs salvage engines or tires, we got a big pile of them here. We got salvage engine. This engine's out of my project truck. If you didn't see yesterday's video, I was showing how scored the bearings and stuff are. They're pretty bad. So these are 10 under, I believe. Cleveite 10 under. So we might put this engine back together in a video. I'm going to clean the block up, make sure there's no metal particles in the oil galleys because the cam lobe wiped out. And I might buy a crankshaft that's already machined with the correct size bearings, because machining this one is too expensive. Look at that. What is going on there? Anywho, we're not here for that. We're not building the engine in this video, don't worry. You guys already saw what's going to happen. So let's finish getting the shop opened up and get started. Stay tuned. First order of business today, get the project truck out the way. Got to work on the choke speed. The choke idle speed's not quite high enough. Got 60 pounds of oil pressure this morning. The gauge is working. Sometimes the gauge works, sometimes it don't. Don't go down in the ditch. That sound. Did I tell you that yet? Oh, don't be jealous. He's a serious off-roader. Look at that. We're gonna this has got a Manuel transmission. Customer's parts. We don't do that, but we're doing it now. Gonna put an AC hose on this thing. 59,581 miles. Get it in the shop, and gonna give it a love rating of 7, believe it or not. It's got a lot of Amazon stuff, probably Jeep parts. You can't own a Jeep. It's like having a Harley. You can't own one and leave it stock because it's completely unacceptable. You got to make it unique, customize it. I talked to a guy at one time. He said that if you want to have a unique Harley or Jeep, you leave it stock, because no one else will. Let's get it in the shop. 1234YF. I think they thought it was 134A, so we're already adjusting the estimate. He called over the phone and asked us how much to put the line on, and we gave him a price. He came right in, because everyone else might have known it was 1234YF, which costs a lot more. So we'll see what happens with all that. But I can't just pop the line off. It just goes from here to here. It's pretty easy to change. But the refrigerant's the hard part. So let's see how much is in it. Get this machine hooked up. The smaller line has the larger fitting, which is the high side, and the larger line has a smaller fitting, which is the low side. Dennis me had decided that years ago. I think I've mentioned before how I would think the larger line should have a larger fitting, but that's just me. Bill and Bob, they didn't come ask me. The cool thing is you don't have to have the machine running to see the gauges show no pressure. There's like 1 pound of pressure, so I can go ahead and pop that line off. But his refrigerant's going to be like $300 alone, so let's at least get the line on there, and then we'll see what happens with the rest of it. The other one I'll get an extension for. Shouldn't be nothing but a thing. Alright. Wiring harness seems to not want to let me go. Oh, you know what? The wiring harness is attached to it. That's why I couldn't push my socket over it. Where else are you going to put your wiring harness? Oh, it broke before it pulled off the threads. That's terrible. It doesn't come off the threads. Excellent. There you go. Once it breaks, it comes right off. No big deal. Oh, look, it just pulled out. Didn't really break. Now it'll come right off, I guess. Now, as long as nothing attached to this, you should be able to pull it back towards the firewall once it's off the stud. That's where it's leaking, the bottom of this hose. Now, these new lines come with the gasket already on. You don't have to oil these gaskets. They just sit flush on there. But you do have to face it the right way. This doesn't have the memory the other one did, so I'm trying to figure out if it goes underneath or above that hose. I think it goes like this, and it curves down. So that's going to be the tricky part. It goes around the line like that. Get the nut on that side before we get too crazy. Also got to make sure this hose wasn't rubbing on anything, so maybe it got damaged from that, but I don't think so. It's nowhere near the pulleys. Ow, watch your head. It's nowhere near the pulleys or anything. Get that snugged up. Don't want to be too hard on the condenser. There's a bracket holding it, but it's not very stout. But that should be good to go. The machine will test it for leaks. We'll make sure it's good to go. Get some refrigerant in it once I have permission. I did get the tie wrap holder dealio back on there. I don't know how tough it's going to be hanging in there, but at least it's back where it goes. All right, go ahead and put this in a vacuum. Got 10 minutes left. I'm doing 15 minutes, so 10 minutes left to go. It'll run through a leak test, make sure that's good to go. It took 35 minutes so far. Half of that time was just a machine testing itself and telling you the condition of the tank, seeing if it was allowed to do the job you want. Really cool stuff they've done with AC machines, making them as expensive and time consuming as possible. And you have to pass those expenses on to the customers, so it's kind of a sad thing, but this is how it is, I guess. And eventually they'll obsolete this one and come out with something even more complicated and more expensive. But you're comfortable going down the road, that's all that really matters. I've had people come in here with the engine misfiring and the brakes metal to metal going, can you look at my air conditioning? So it's pretty important. All right, the vacuum test went swimmingly. So we'll go ahead and put 1.25 pounds. 567 grams, so a pound's about double a grams, roughly. Hoses are connected. So now it's going to do another vacuum test, and then it's going to do a pressure, it's going to put refrigerant in, do a pressure drop test, and if both of those pass, then they'll let you have refrigerant. After the 5-minute vacuum, it's doing a 5-minute leak test under vacuum. I just went outside while we were waiting and looked at a BMW. They want to know, can we align this BMW? So I went out there, and he's got 22-inch wheels, and the car's lowered in the back, so that the fender tucks outside the tire, and he used a bat to roll the fenders like you normally would do on your daily bike. And it's got camber, and I said, no, we cannot align it. When you do stuff like that to your car, just buy new tires every 3 to 6 months. Maybe a bubble level, carpenter's level. Just adjust the camber until the carpenter's level says it's good. But he's got a camber too, so it'll rub the fender if you straighten the camber up. I'm not even sure why somebody with a car like that would ask you to do an alignment. But in any event, he's gone now. My pupils might be dilated a little bit. I'm not really sure. Now it tells you to go through, test it for leaks, turn the AC system on momentarily. Does it have an auxiliary evaporator? No. Because if you said yes, it would say, did you test that for leaks? And you go, yes. It's kind of like the way you, when you go into a country and you have to declare things, you just tell them what they want to hear. Same thing with this. I'm just kidding, don't do that. Never lie on any government form. Everyone tells the truth on those things. Now it's going to finalize the charge. And this thing should be about done once we make sure it blows cold. Let's see how this air works. Let's also put up our windows. Oh, it's got crank windows. My goodness gracious. Is that 19th century stuff? The air is not on. That will make it not work. Turn the fan down. Recirculate. Something's happening. This is all customer diagnosed, customer requested parts, and it looks like that hose was leaking, so that's good. It held the vacuum test. You guys saw that. This one's good. Next we got oil change on a 2012 Outlander. And then I think that Honda looked at with that valve timing issue, timing chain. I recommended taking it apart to inspect everything. Maybe the plan is to take it apart, inspect everything, and do a timing chain if we see a problem with it. I'm not really sure. We'll sort that out when we get to it. We'll park this one, pull a, I think it's that blue Mitsubishi. We'll be pulling it next. This is a regular customer's car, so should be in good shape as far as maintenance goes. We'll take a look. 108,685 miles. 2012. Roughly 10,000 miles a year. A little less. And I'm thinking everything's going to be in good shape underneath. But we always take a look at the pads and the tires and a little bit of front end. Check the belts and hoses, fluid levels, tire pressure, all that stuff with our oil change. Not like the quick lube places. They drop your oil and filter, try to sell you a cabin filter and a diff service, and send you down the road. They got to hit numbers. When you're number focused business, your days are numbered. So many of them have gone bankrupt around here. Like even Pep Boys went bankrupt, got bought out of bankruptcy, and now they're on the verge again. Because they're always number focused rather than service focused. Oil change prep is underway. Love rating on this is a 5. I'd probably go 6, but cigarette burns and needs a little vacuum action. So we're going with 5. He's bounced off a few things. There's scrapes in the fender, the mirror, and the thing like I don't know what happened there. This has been repainted too. That's alright. Takes good care of it. Comes in pretty regular. Oh, we gotta do something about that. That's not good. Uh-oh, tires ain't doing too good. Still gotta check it, even though it's not very good. These 2 tires. 31 pounds, about 35. Calling at 35. Get that nasty oil out of there next. This thing's all-wheel drive, by the way. Just made a short about the catback exhaust. We actually put it on. It was less expensive than the original replacement exhaust. But just to wind people up on the internet, I made a big deal about it in a short. Because you gotta have fun. What's the point of the internet otherwise? Let me see what filter this takes. Oh, it's got our part number on it right there. I can get it that way instead of looking at paperwork. Before I put pliers on it, let's just see. Okay. I tried. I didn't do it last. That's not that tight. Just a little bit. It should have a small O-ring on it, I think. Alright. Do your thing, little filter. It's a little dirty up there. Just a little schmidgy on the O-ring. That's a nice O-ring. The flat gaskets I've never been a fan of. They started those in like the 40s or 50s or something, but I guess they work too. That should be good. That gasket looks old. I'm gonna go ahead and get a new one. Look how nice. Look how nice. It's basically like show car drain plug washer stuff going on there. And that's one of the best ways to get this thing a new car status. It's got some rust going on, I'll tell you what. This car, because it's all-wheel drive, it either originated up north or it's been back and forth. Hard to say. His tag does say retirado. So I'm guessing he's retired and he can travel all over the country if he wants, right? Hopefully we all get there someday. I just watched a video the other day about and a guy was talking about how useless old people are. I'm like, holy crap, man. That's a little harsh. Everyone hopes to be old someday, and everyone was young one day. I don't understand why. You gotta divide people by generation now, by gender, by whatever, and then they're gonna divide them by age too. So everyone's looking for reasons to be separate, I guess. Have I mentioned sometimes people are only happy when they're sad? Kind of strange, but some people just do that. Four and a half quarts of 0.20 synthetic dinosaur blood. Did this oil change. He had 4,000 miles left to go on the mileage, but he did it based on a date. So I put it at 1 year this time, because you don't need to change it more often than once a year if you only drive a couple thousand miles a year. It's hard to see because he takes such good care of it, but just barely above full. Once we run it, perfect. Everything's good. I cleaned up the battery, hold down a little bit. Washer's good. Coolant level's good, air filter's clean. We must have done it last time. Got good wipers, just needs 2 tires. So we'll see if he wants to do those, and otherwise this one's done. He wants to know the overall condition of the car I looked at yesterday before he decides whether we're going to do this engine work or not. So that's what we're going to do now, check tires and brakes and front end and stuff. Keep in mind, this car's a few thousand miles away from 200,000. Front and rear brakes and tires. I don't want to pile on, but you can see that on camera. There's like a pocket screwdriver width left on the pads. They're not metal to metal, but in a few months they will be, depending on how much they drive, of course, and how much of that driving's on the highway, because you don't use your brakes on the highway for the most part, unless you panic stop because you're going 85 and you come up on someone doing 30. Okay, so we know the tires are low, we know the brakes are low, so it's going to need some more work, but I'm going to look around at the front end and lift it up a little further. Alright, axle. This one looks okay right now. I don't know how it'll be shortly. A little bit of a power steering leak, not even bad enough to get the frame wet under here. We don't have to worry about that. Definitely got some uneven pad wear in the front. 2 of the pads look good and 2 not so good. So everything else with the suspension looks pretty good though, except that left axle. So let me make a little list. He'll talk to the owner. I think it's his daughter's car, and he's going to fix it up for her. They live in 2 different states now. So alright, we'll see if we didn't get in this engine and if they want to do the rest of the work or not and all that stuff, and we'll come back to it. Alright, the Honda Accord, the customers approved everything up to a full timing chain kit with the actuators. So we're going to start off with the tear down little by little, solenoid first, and we're going to test the solenoid because the solenoid can stick and keep the cam advanced as well. It's pretty common. If that's not a problem, we can get it to work. You can connect it to the battery, activate the solenoid, it should open and close. You can actually watch it move when you take it out of the engine. If it doesn't move and it's stuck open, that's what would be done. If well, I think the valve cover gasket is leaking too, so we'll probably do a valve cover gasket and tune up stuff. If the solenoid isn't a problem, then we're going to take the valve cover off and we'll try to turn the cam. If the camshaft turns, then the actuator is bad on the cam. It's not supposed to turn. When the cam is at 0, a pin is engaged, so it's locked in place. When the solenoid activates, the oil pressure opens the pin so that the cam timing can change. So let's get that cam solenoid out there and test it out. Now I need a quarter drive and a 10. Not a lot of room down in here. I might have to get the old extender reach. Not sure if that shows up or not. Let's move you back here a little bit.
I thought it was with magnetron.
Me too.
Why'd you know?
Because it's all over there. This one's right here. See if we can get the solenoid out of here without too much muss and fuss. Almost looks like someone may have changed it already, because Paul Harvey doesn't always like to give you the whole story. It's usually cheaper if they withhold info. I mean, it isn't, but that's what people think. So, yeah, this solenoid, that is not an original solenoid. Now we can put power and ground into the solenoid here and activate it and see if it clicks. Negative, positive. The best thing is to have a pigtail that fits in here, but we don't have one, so we'll do what we gotta do. Yeah, come over here a second. So you can see the solenoid's working. So that means we're going further. Well, my battery meter shows 0 with a big red line. That's weird. I'm gonna get this cross brace out of the way. Probably don't have to, but I think it'd just be easier to have it out of the way. It's only 6 12mm head bolts. And a couple of connectors gotta be pulled off of it, hose, whatever. Non-removable. There it is. I feel like I got more space to put stuff. In case my magnetic tray gets full of stuff. It could be the original solenoid. I can't be sure. It does say made in Mexico R44 on it. Maybe one of my Honda people will know. Quite a few 10s. 1, 2, 5 at least. I thought there was more actually. That's not so bad. Let's get them off of there and stop talking about it. 1, 2. Someone made a good point in the comments today I was reading. Said, why didn't you put the coils back in the holes when I had those spark plugs out in the Ram? Why didn't you lay the coils back in the hole? I'm like, yeah, that's freaking smart, man. You guys are smart. I just didn't think of it. Plus, it's, honestly, I'm trying to put on a good show for you guys. Now, I got to keep the suspense up. I mean, there's YouTube channels, they buy Lamborghinis that out of the salvage yard and get them running. I can't do that, so I have to take the risk on dropping a nut down the spark plug hole. It's almost the same thing. It's either that or I got to show more cleavage or wear a thong, and neither of those are going to happen. Won't be long till we see them cams now. Ah, don't need that junk. Looks nice in there, like it's been fairly well maintained. I'm surprised. Well, get off of that. Well, we got issues. We got issues. Oh, it's like a broken chain guide. Hope this thing didn't bend valves. All right. This is the increased duration setup. Probably should do a valve adjustment while we're in here. I know my Honda guys right now going, "You gotta adjust those valves." Typing on that keyboard, like I'll probably go through and check the valve clearance while I got everything apart at least. It couldn't hurt. You gotta get it at top dead center. Looks like we're definitely headed for the timing chain, which apparently what we did is we gave them the worst case estimate, which to me is an engine. 190 something thousand miles if you remember. But you probably can just put a timing chain on it and it'll probably be fine as long as the valves haven't bent. So what I can do is crank the engine over a little bit and make sure that none of these rocker arms are sloppy loose. If a valve's bent, it won't pull back all the way and a rocker arm will be loose. And right now I don't feel any. Uh-oh. Little play there. Little play there. Let me get a feeler gauge, see what kind of gap we have there. Let's see if we can get a 6,000th in there. I don't even know if it's a top dead center. I'm just trying to get an idea what kind of clearance we have. It's that small of a gap, it's hard to find. Can't even see it. Oh, look at that, I can see better. It's a little more than 6,000ths. Let's try 8. Come on now. It's 18 thousandths if I can't separate these, or 16, 17. I think the next one's a 9, right? So 9 plus 8, 17 thousandths. We don't want that. There you go. Let's see if it's about 8 thousandths gap. There it is. It's about what it is. Feels like it's a hair loose, maybe 9 thousandths, but it's not a gigantic amount. If the valves are bent, usually you're going to see a really bad. I mean, you can move the rocker arm 1/8 of an inch, or which is 125 thousandths, which is obviously way more than it's supposed to have. So we don't see that. I am going to roll the motor over a little bit. If I find something really bad, then we're going to stop. Uh-oh. Well, things just changed rapidly. That's a cam and a lifter, and we got broken timing chain parts and stuff. Although I'm not seeing bent valves, it's going to add substantially to the estimate. And I'm looking down here, it looks like someone may have had this timing cover off not too long ago. This might turn into an engine, which makes me a little sad, but there's not a lot you can do about it. We're on basically a search and destroy mission. And they asked me worst case scenario, I said engine, so we went with a timing chain, but it's not going to cut it. At least the timing chain and the cam and the followers, which anyway, let me go let them know up front, and we'll see what happens. You want to know what it looks like underneath the cam bearing journals, and they look okay. They're not real scored real bad, but the oil galley hole is pretty sludged up. I already scooped some out of there. So sounds like they might want to put a cam in it as well as the timing chain stuff. I'm like, I don't know, I'm not sure where you draw the line on an engine with 193,000 miles on it, but so let me let them know that the cam bearing surfaces look okay on that journal, and we may keep trying to patch this engine up, I guess. Uh-oh. I'm gonna take this gear off of here. If I ever put this motor back together, the timing set's still good, so I'm going to keep it. This crank's going in the scrap pile. They want about 300 bucks to remachine it, and then it'll be more fragile because it's 20 under. And I can buy an already machined crank with all stock specs, brand new, for 200 bucks. Free shipping. So, oh, never mind, it's broken. That's junk too. Did I just break that? The keyways aren't even right. The keyways are wallowed out. Looks like the balancer was probably run loose on them or something. That's no good. Never mind. Nope, looks like I did it with the puller. The keyway is wallowed out in the crank pulley anyway, so no loss. Doesn't want to go in the garbage. What I really came out here for before I got sidetracked, squirrel, is we got 2 tires to put on the back of this van. The ones we got the other day were the wrong size. I'm gonna do 2 tires really quick. You know, it's kind of boring. We'll film a little clip here and there just to make it interesting and add to the day. I want you guys to know what's going on. I like to go at least to the safety. The tread is good on these tires, but they're dry rotting, and the left one is leaking air. That's why we're changing them. This is what a used tire shop will sell you as a used tire. Something someone else didn't want on their car. Two of these are designed to let you snap the hubcap in place. Valve stem's here, it makes a T shape. So I know where the valve stem's here. I can snug these 2 up. Now I can put the hubcap on and do the others. Alright, settle down now. This is the one that's leaking air. We'll go back and mount this one. Valve stems out of the way. Jack it. That's where the back injuries usually come from. That's why you always see tire changer guys are always really young. Because the older guys have all had bad backs already. But when you make 20, 30 bucks a tire, it's very appealing to the person not doing it. Now let's go around the other way. I want that valve stem over by the machine coming off, and I want it on the other side going back. If you've seen me mount tires before, I apologize if it's repetitive. And I don't do a lot of tires, that's for sure. Once in a while, if the shop's in a bind, got a bunch of tires to do, then I do them. Don't want to be no crab baby. Just, the guy told me when I was applying at a shop one time, "You're not one of those prima donna master technicians, are you?" I said, "Only a prima donna manager would ask that." Suddenly our tire lubricant is a black paste, which I think is meant for rusty wheels. But I suppose it's slippery, it will work. Not up to me on a lot of things. It's probably all they had. And honestly, it'll work. Now there's an inside and outside to these. I'm just realizing, I gotta go see if I mounted the other one wrong. Inside. So I want that facing down. Alright. Get over there, will you? The inner bead goes on the easiest. Close enough. Have it your way. I'm not going to fight you for 2 more inches. It's almost too good. Watch your fingers. Oh, snake eyes. I've seen some guys carry these over to the car they're working on. I don't know why. They're round, so they roll and stuff. I knew I smelled cologne. I'm like, what the heck? I usually smell skunks around this town. I smell a really strong odor of parfum. Man, she must take a bath in that stuff. It does smell nicer than the skunks, though. No, it's not deja vu. I had it wrong. You got a 50-50 shot in these things. Mountain tires are like riding a bike. First time you get back on, you're probably going to fall off. And then it comes back to you after that. Something like that. At least that's how it works for me. I just never would have thought that a van tire was any kind of directional tire. But there you go. You gotta check. When you assume, you do it twice. That's all. Mounted 3 tires for the price of 2. Alright guys, we got the project truck nestled in the shop, and went ahead and put the Making It Work sticker on the toolbox. You know I have those for sale, right? They're not in the description because YouTube doesn't let me have a YouTube store until I get to 20,000 subscribers. You did subscribe already, did you? We're basically waiting to find this camshaft. It's $800 apparently for this thing. That's what it costs us. I don't know what the markup's going to be or whatever, but so we're waiting here on that. I haven't gone any further with it because time is money, so I can't just keep going if we can't get the part. He doesn't want to go further because he already said he wanted to hold off on the brakes and the tires. So we went from checking for a trip to cannot wait. So thanks for watching today's video, guys. I really appreciate it. Hope you torque the like button before you head out, and I hope I see you in the next one because you're awesome.